your mind could actually be setting you up for failure, and you may not even realize it. There are common mental traps we all fall into that can keep us from achieving the success we're aiming for, whether it's in finances, relationships, or in life in general. But don't worry, today I'm going to share 10 surprising ways your mind may be holding you back, and more importantly, how you can overcome them. By the end of this video, you'll have powerful tools to make better decisions, break out of mental patterns that limit your growth, and start paving the way for success. If you're new here and you want to learn more about boosting your mindset and achieving your goals, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Let's dive into 10 ways your mind might be setting you up for failure and how to fix them. Our brains are wired to notice what's loud, bright, and right in front of us. It's a survival mechanism, right? Back in the caveman days, you needed to spot that saber-toothed tiger lurking in the bushes. But in today's world, this look at the bright, shiny thing, instinct can actually work against us. Imagine you're driving down the highway and there's a giant billboard with flashing lights. You're naturally going to look at it, right? It's big, it's bold, it's designed to grab your attention. But while you're busy looking at the billboard, you might miss the subtle turn-off for your exit. That's the salience effect in action. Our brains are drawn to what stands out, which means we often overlook the less obvious but potentially more important details. Think about how this plays out in your life. Are you so focused on the big, obvious problems that you're missing the smaller, solvable ones that could make a huge difference? This tendency to focus on what's salient can affect everything from our decision-making to our relationships. But don't worry, we're going to talk about how to overcome this mental trap in just a bit. How do we break free from the salience effect? It's about being intentional with our attention, like using a flashlight in a dark room. Explore the corners to see what else is there. Practice mindfulness. Observe your surroundings without judgment. Seek different perspectives, challenge your assumptions, train your mind to overcome the salience effect. Chapter 3. Memory is unreliable. We like to think of our memories as perfect recordings, but they're fluid and unreliable. Emotions, biases, and questions can alter our memories. This can impact important decisions. Our memories are unreliable. How can we trust ourselves to make good decisions, recognize memory's limitations, and develop strategies to compensate? Don't rely solely on memory for important information. Take notes, record conversations, or send follow-up emails. Be aware of factors that distort memory. Delay decisions if emotional or stressed. Double-check memories with others. Acknowledge memory's fallibility to make informed decisions. Chapter 4. The Overconfidence Trap. Have you ever noticed how some people always think they're the best at everything? They're the best driver, the best cook, the best at their job, you name it. Well, guess what? They're probably not. And neither are we. We all fall victim to something called the overconfidence bias. Our brains protect our egos, making us overestimate our abilities. We want to feel good about ourselves, right? So we tend to overestimate our abilities, especially in areas where we already have some confidence. We think we're more skilled, more knowledgeable, and more capable than we actually are. Think about it. How many times have you been sure you aced a test only to get the results back and realize you didn't do as well as you thought? Or maybe you were convinced you could handle a project at work, but then it spiraled out of control. That's the overconfidence bias in action. The problem is this overconfidence can lead to some pretty serious consequences. We might take on more than we can handle, make risky decisions, or fail to prepare adequately because we think we've got it all figured out. But the truth is, none of us are experts in everything. Now, I'm all about confidence. Confidence is key to going after what you want in life, but there's a big difference between healthy confidence and overconfidence. Overconfidence can actually sabotage your success. Think about it. When you're overly confident, you're less likely to ask for help, less likely to consider different perspectives, and less likely to learn from your mistakes. You become blind to your own limitations, and that can be a recipe for disaster. The good news is there are things you can do to combat the overconfidence bias. First and foremost, be honest with yourself about your strengths and weaknesses. Nobody's perfect, and that's okay. Recognize that there's always room for improvement. Another helpful tip is to seek out feedback from others. Ask trusted friends, family members, or colleagues for their honest opinions about your work. They can provide valuable insights that you might not be able to see yourself. And remember, feedback isn't personal, it's an opportunity to grow. Have you ever looked at the clouds and seen shapes or faces? Our brains are wired to find patterns. It's a survival mechanism, but sometimes we see patterns where none exist. This is called apophenia. It can lead to bad decisions like investing in a fluke stock or believing in superstitions. Now, I'm not saying that all patterns are meaningless. Obviously, there are real patterns in the world that we need to be aware of. But it's important to be able to distinguish between real patterns and those that are just figments of our imagination. So how do you spot a fake pattern? First, ask yourself if there's any logical explanation for the connection you're seeing. Is there any evidence to support your theory, or are you just relying on gut feeling? Second, be willing to consider alternative explanations. Just because two things happen in close proximity doesn't mean they're related. Correlation does not equal causation. And finally, don't be afraid to be wrong. Sometimes the patterns we see are just coincidences. It's better to admit you were mistaken than to cling to a belief that's not supported by evidence. Chapter 6. The myth of multitasking. Let's be honest, we live in a world that glorifies multitasking. We answer emails during meetings, text while we walk, and scroll through social media while we watch TV. We wear our ability to juggle multiple tasks as a badge of honor. But here's the truth, multitasking is a myth. Our brains aren't designed to focus on multiple things at once. When we try to do too many things at the same time, our performance suffers. We make more mistakes, we miss important details, and our stress levels skyrocket. Think of your brain like a computer. When you open too many programs at once, your computer slows down, right? It's the same with your brain. When you try to process too much information at once, your brain gets overloaded and you can't function at your best. The truth is, multitasking isn't efficient, it's actually counterproductive. You might think you're saving time by doing multiple things at once, but in reality, you're just spreading yourself too thin and reducing the quality of your work. So, what's the alternative? Single tasking? I know, it sounds boring, but trust me, it's a game changer. When you focus on one task at a time, you give your brain the space it needs to do its best work. Start by identifying your most important tasks for the day, then block out specific times to work on each task without distractions. Put away your phone, close your email, and give your full attention to the task at hand. You'll be amazed at how much more productive you are when you're not constantly switching between tasks. And here's a bonus tip. Build in breaks throughout the day. Our brains need time to rest and recharge, so step away from your work every hour or so. Take a walk, listen to some music, or just close your eyes and breathe. You'll come back to your work feeling refreshed and refocused. Remember, true productivity isn't about doing more things, it's about doing the right things well. And that requires focus. Let's talk about a sneaky little mind trap called confirmation bias. Our brains seek information that confirms our beliefs, ignoring contrary evidence. It's like an echo chamber reinforcing our opinions. This can limit us and create a distorted reality. To break free, seek diverse perspectives and challenge your assumptions. Breaking free from confirmation bias isn't about abandoning your beliefs, it's about strengthening your ability to think critically and make well-rounded decisions. Start by questioning your assumptions. Why do you believe what you believe? What evidence supports your views? Are there alternative explanations you haven't considered? Remember, it's okay to change your mind. In fact, it's a sign of intellectual growth. When you're open to new information and willing to adjust your perspective, you become more adaptable, more resilient, and more likely to make choices that are truly in your best interest. One practical tip is to actively seek out information from sources that challenge your worldview. If you tend to gravitate towards news outlets that align with your political leanings, for example, make a conscious effort to also read articles from publications with different perspectives. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but I promise it will make you a more informed and well-rounded individual. Remember, your mind is a powerful tool. Don't let confirmation bias limit your potential. Challenge your assumptions, embrace diverse perspectives, and never stop learning and growing. Let's talk about mistakes. We all make them, right? But what if we could reframe our relationship with failure? Instead of setbacks, see mistakes as stepping stones to success. Successful people use failures to learn and grow. Remember, mistakes aren't the enemy, fear of them is. Instead of dwelling on the negative emotions that come with making a mistake, Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to grow and improve? Maybe you missed a deadline at work. Instead of beating yourself up, take some time to analyze what went wrong. Were you disorganized? Did you underestimate the scope of the project? Once you identify the root cause, you can start implementing strategies to prevent similar mistakes from happening in the future. Maybe you need to work on your time management skills or improve your communication with your team. Remember, every mistake is an opportunity to develop new skills, gain valuable insights, and ultimately become a more resilient and successful individual. Embrace the learning process and don't be afraid to experiment, to take risks, and yes, to even fail from time to time. Because it's in those moments of perceived failure that we often discover our greatest strengths and uncover our true potential. So go out there, embrace the unknown, and remember, every mistake is just a stepping stone on the path to success. Have you ever heard the saying, you don't know what you don't know? It's absolutely true, and it can really mess with your success. We tend to focus on what's right in front of us, the obvious stuff, but what about the stuff that's missing? This is what we call ignoring the silent evidence. It's like trying to solve a puzzle with only half the pieces. You might think you've got it figured out, but without the full picture, you're likely to make mistakes. Think about it. A detective doesn't just focus on what's at a crime scene, they look for what's not there. A doctor doesn't just treat the symptoms, they run tests to rule out other possibilities. To really succeed, you've got to get comfortable with the unknown, with acknowledging those missing pieces. Ask yourself, what am I not seeing here? What information is missing? You'll be surprised by what you uncover. And this isn't about overthinking everything, it's about becoming a better critical thinker. It's so easy to get stuck in our own heads, assuming we know all the facts. But those assumptions can lead you down the wrong path, no matter how smart you are. Here's the thing. Most of us don't even realize we're making assumptions. We take in information, filter it through our own experiences and biases, and bam! We've already drawn conclusions without even realizing it. So, how do you break free? Start by questioning everything. Don't just accept things at face value. Dig deeper, ask why 5 times, and be open to the possibility that you might not have all the answers. Remember, the greatest discoveries often come from challenging what we think we know, so embrace the unknown, question your assumptions, and watch as you unlock a whole new level of success. Chapter 11. Breaking free from autopilot. We all have habits, those automatic behaviors we do without even thinking. They're our brain's way of saving energy, and in many ways they make life easier. But here's the catch: habits can be a double-edged sword. Think about it. You're driving to work, the same route you take every day, you're barely paying attention, running on autopilot. But what if there's construction? A detour you've never encountered before. Suddenly, that autopilot mode isn't so helpful, is it? The same goes for our lives. We develop habits that serve us well until they don't. Maybe it's the way you procrastinate on big projects or how you avoid difficult conversations. These habits might have worked in the past, but they could be holding you back now. The first step to breaking free is awareness. Start paying attention to your daily routines. What are the automatic behaviors you engage in without thinking? Which ones are helpful, and which ones might be sabotaging your success? Once you've identified those not-so-helpful habits, it's time to rewire your brain. And no, you don't need to sign up for some crazy retreat or spend hours meditating, unless you want to, of course. Small, consistent changes are key. Don't try to overhaul everything at once. Pick one habit you want to change and focus on that. Maybe it's setting your alarm 15 minutes earlier to fit in a quick workout, or replacing that afternoon sugar rush with a healthy snack. The key is to create new neural pathways, to literally rewire your brain, and the more you repeat those new behaviors, the stronger those pathways become. It's like building a muscle. It takes time and effort, but the results are worth it. Remember, you are not a prisoner of your habits. You have the power to change them. So take control, rewrite the script, and design a life that truly reflects your goals and aspirations. Chapter 12. Take charge of your mindset. So there you have it. 10 ways your mind may be setting you up for failure and how to fix them. We've talked about everything from the sneaky power of our attention to the importance of questioning everything. The bottom line? Your mindset is everything. It's the foundation upon which you build your success. And just like any foundation, it needs to be strong and stable. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more tips on improving your mindset and achieving your goals. Be sure to share this video with a friend who could use a mindset boost too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, adapted from the book Why We Make Mistakes by Joseph T. Hallinan.